Okay, everybody, I just wanted to finish going through a couple of things rather than re-recording the entire thing again. So just going back to these three main ideas, is this one is talking about when two vehicles start together, they go the same distance in the same amount of time, they arrive at the final position together. In race 2, you have vehicles going two different distances in the same amount of time. The one that goes further is going faster. And then the third race, race 3, if vehicles traveled for different amounts of time, you need to find out how far they both go in 1 hour before you can compare them. So this one's kind of tricky because the car is actually going the fastest, but the question asks which vehicle reached the 150-kilometer mark first, and it's the truck. The truck got there first because he's there after an hour, whereas the car is only halfway through her travel. So it's actually behind the truck an hour into it. So this one's a little tricky. So you can talk about in race 3 that the car is actually going the faster, but in order to compare them, you need to figure out the unit rate. Part 2, in part 2, it's called time travel, and you're trying to help the students discover the speed algorithm. I have written here that extra practice is likely necessary. So the student worksheet that they give you is great, but I just don't find that it's enough. I feel like these are really heavy concepts that I believe that students need a lot more practice with. So I pulled up a couple just so you could see them. So if you again go to the FOSS website, which is amazing, you need to be using it all the time, and you go to resources by investigation, you can see all of the investigations, all of the worksheets for the investigation. So the lab notebook, time travel A, the main idea in time travel A is they're trying to figure out what the speed equation is. But I wouldn't have them get stuck here. I would have them do A, B, C, and E and move on. Don't give them this equation if you can help yourself. Time travel B, they're now trying to figure out, if you know speed and time, how can you figure out distance? Again, don't give them this. They can figure it out for themselves, but you might have to give them another worksheet for them to practice. So you might ask them a bunch of questions, like if something is going for 100 miles in 2 hours, how fast is it going? And they'll say 50. So they can do that. And you want to kind of talk them through figuring out what the equations are. So what I've done in the past is I've actually just given them some additional practice so they can try to see the pattern. And then the next part of this is the homework. So as you can see here, there's a lot of questions on it, and there's not much room for them to actually do work. So I would highly recommend chunking this. And in this, students also are going to need to do some conversions, at least as you get further down, and that's something that you'll need to talk with them through as well. So this isn't something that I would just give them for homework and walk away. This could even be kind of a challenge problem set that you do in the classroom. So we have that. We just discussed that. We discussed this. I've discussed the reading. It can be challenging. Homework needs to be broken up, potentially simplified. I certainly would not just give it to them as is. And then the final one I wanted to point out is the response sheet. And this is something that you could use for practice on claim, evidence, and reasoning and having them support their answers. So in this, they ask about how fast, basically, I know how far the car went and how long it took them to get there, but I'm not sure how fast it went. So here they ask you, what do you think Gwen showed Abby? So this is just a really great opportunity to have them practice writing about what the concepts are. And finally, part 3 is it's actually a lab, and they are measuring time and distance. This is another great opportunity to practice following a procedure, carrying out an investigation, data collection and organization of data, and analyzing and communicating data. This is a lab that you will have to take some time to set up. You need to make sure that you have books that students can use as a slope. You also need to do a little bit of work getting the ramps, or the ramps do not come with the science kits. I have gotten mine in the past at Home Depot. Please email me or the science department if you're having a hard time getting the ramps. Everything else is in the kit, but you will need the actual board to use as a ramp. And that is all. Good luck in this investigation.